Hey everyone.
GM. All right, a lot of things to go through on today's weekly summary. Let me just close some of my apps so that they don't keep pinging during the call. But yeah, yeah. First things first. Let's start with big stuff. I think first thing is we are looking to add some more new assets to Pool One, which is SWI, XRP, BNB, and most of the assets that are possible to be added in the top 50 with a higher market cap because we need thick liquidity for these assets to be supported on Flash, and the tech would be used by the tech would be the same thing that enabled us to allow Jito Soul addition. And I think, so if you can give some overview on how it works and the audited uh, draft as well on it would be great.
Yeah, for sure. We'll start it off with all of the details. But first, I think Max, this is your first time on a community call, so yeah, welcome to the team, and welcome to and then the community knows you already. So yeah, there's not much to introduce. And yeah, happy to have Max with us. And yeah, Max, if you wanna say a few things before we kick it off.
I think he has an issue of push to talk or something that
Oh no. Yeah, I was about to say I got it. I was just about to say, yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you introducing me. I was the old time community member. Developed Flash Stats app for the community. Really appreciate you guys bringing me on. My focus is to grow the pie and grow with Flash as we expand our horizons. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And yeah, getting back to the topic, that's something we've always teased for quite some time now, which is the flu mechanism, flexible lock utilization, allowing us to kind of cross list assets. So that's something we're working on, and that's something we need a bit more opinions on. I think Flash Labs has been doing great in terms of getting feedback, and that's where we've had this thought of, why not list a new pool, which is what Helps has been saying in the comments. And the biggest trouble there is fragmentation of liquidity. So let's say number one is that the native assets are not really available in the best form. So even if you have a wrapped version of, let's say, BNB or SUI or XRP for that matter, available on chain, one of the biggest troubles is finding the right source. Even for assets, or the biggest asset in crypto like Bitcoin, there's been like so many different versions. We've supported wrap BTC, but we have had all of our thoughts and experimentations around different ideas of wrapping BTC and bringing it on chain. Zeus has been one of the most transformative approach in terms of bringing native encryption and having Bitcoin rightly available on chain. There's CBBTC. There's so many versions, but we're stuck to wrap BTC because of its liquidity and its stature in terms of being the de facto WBTC that's available on the market. So those are the things that necessarily needs to be looked at. For ETH, we do have Vamho wrapped ETH, which is the de facto representation of ETH and Solana. But for other assets, it cannot be said as such. And we're talking of like the top 10 assets in crypto by market cap, or 10, top 15. You're still gonna have to find correlation, although nothing is perfectly correlated all the time. We've got the system of flexible lock utilization, which goes as part of the enhancements we've talked about in terms of margin engine v2. So we've had these mechanisms at play. We've been waiting for the audit to be rolled up, which again should be out, or kind of the drafts should be publicly released this week. We're waiting for the team's confirmation, and it's Offside Labs, one of the best teams around in the space, especially given the state of DeFi on Solana and the recent news from Loopscale being exploited with a weird hack, which we'll cover down in the talks. But that's been the top priority to secure what we've got right now, and work towards improving the security and the whole possible uh, features that we've got to offer should first and foremost be safe to use, and that's a top priority. So getting all of those in, the idea here is to list a lot more assets to be traded against the the assets that we've got on pool one. And that's one thing that we want to have the community to kind of talk about, or kind of discuss concerns, because um, LPs are the baseline, or are the people that's gonna take the opposite end of trades that are gonna be listed, or for all the markets that are listed against the pool, LPs are gonna face the brunt. And one of the things we've done to kind of have um, the liquidity not really get fragmented is to combine assets of one kind. You can see that with pool one, obviously, and then there's pool three, which is the de facto Solana DeFi pool for us. You see a lot of governance tokens in there associated to DeFi on Solana, and then you've got pool four, which is Bonk and Pengu, which kind of going together on the meme coin side. And now, like the latest launch with Trump and Fartcoin being part of the pool seven. So on that note, like instead of fragmenting liquidity into like nothingness or just a few dollars thrown in and out there, we just want to have the best mechanism for LPs to be able to offer all of these trades unified in the aggregate liquidity, so that people are trading against the pool have the flexibility to kind of come in with any asset and then trade the underlying without having to worry about the potential P&L settlements, which are always guaranteed. So what flexible lock utilization allows us to have like a correlation figured out. Okay, when you're looking to list BNB, what's the asset that it's most correlated to? And that's something we've been working on in terms of analyzing what best correlation we could find. And yeah, it turns out Sol is the best, um, or the most correlated asset you could find in terms of BNB or SUI and these kinds being associated. And then when you talk of XRP or Ripple kind of being on the pool, it's too difficult to find proper correlation. So this is something we've been working on. And then the risk implies to LPs, taking the opposite end. And then the underlying asset is not exactly same. So the risks do change a little. And that's something we're looking to kind of have been put out, or kind of communicate the plan and get the feedback on how LPs feel about this approach, and what assets do the community want to see on pool one.
Got it. Yeah, and the idea is just not to go into the fragmentation part of things where we have pool for every asset and it kind of breaks the UX as well. So eventually what we see is like we'll have 3 to 4 main pools which will cover 3 to 4 different types of things. So there would be one crypto main pool that would be covering top 50 assets by market cap. And the second pool would be a virtual pool that would support that as everything that is associated with assets that are out of crypto realm. And third pool would be a DeFi pool, which would support all the assets that are related to DeFi and altcoins at a larger scale. But there would be a cap to the minimum market cap we would be able to list, because we need those oracles to be very tight in terms of not being manipulated. And the fourth thing is like a meme pool, which would be all things meme coins backed by the specific coins that we feel as stronger. So I think that has actually helped us a lot. Like if you see the performance of FLP1, the performance is primarily because of very hard assets being put in the pool, and then once you unlock more trading over it, it actually results in better performance of the pool yield itself. So that is where the tech and the management is from the our side of things, and that's how we are thinking to take things to the next level in terms of
Yeah,
having more assets.
The asset basket makes a world of a difference. If you've seen FLP1 outperforming other similar pool-to-peer text-based LPs, is for the fact that the pool has got a good balance of all assets. Sold BDC, ETH for a little bit, and then stables for the rest. And that has really helped us kind of stay net positive or in competition to other LPs, which are predominantly dominated in Sol. And that's for good reasons though. And for us, the whole idea has been, okay, how could we make sure that the pool is actually representing an asset basket instead of being like one majoritarian pool, and that helps us kind of establish this idea of correlation and expand or kind of offer other markets which don't have the underlying token on Solana. And that's where margin engine v2 improvements associated to it are going to stem from, and that's the current stuff that we have got on the table.
Then you want to take
And
this chat.
yeah, the pool one assets to be rebalanced. There's no rebalancing required for assets that are not going to be backed by the same underlying. So let's say if you're going to have an asset like BNB listed, you would be trading it against Sol as the underlying, or JITO for that matter, right now. And that's the whole idea, where you don't have to really worry about the underlying asset itself being added to the pool, because it just doesn't make sense, as we discussed in the start of the call. There's no native asset available, or wrapped assets don't have like appreciable liquidity. So that's how pool
And
one
there is
or
always bridging issues as well. Bridged asset
yeah,
issues.
yeah, absolutely. And then again, assets that are not natively available on chain on Solana, will the treasury vaults be publicly available on other networks? I'm not sure I follow, but yeah, any asset that's later available in the best amount of liquidity, yeah, it's super easy to swap that out, similar to how JITO kind of is eating up the portion allocated for Sol. We could obviously have like a better asset for the underlying anytime added to the pool, with LPs being confident about it.
Yep. I'll
And
just wait for Holps to add any question regarding this flume mechanism. We call it flume mechanism. The full form is flexible lock utilization mechanism, which basically locks a different asset to give you an exposure of the asset required. All the UX is actually much smoother. You won't feel any difference. Pretty similar to the feel that you have right now with JITO Sol, although you are longing Sol, but the underlying is actually collateralized in terms of JITO Sol. So
Another quick thing from comments or issues we've had earlier is the swap and approach. So whenever you have assets on the pool being a little bit imbalanced, that's when extreme market moves come in before the pool is able to be balanced. At that instances, there could be a scenario where if you're expecting your stop loss or take profit to actually execute and give you USDC, so let's say you long Sol and then you wanted to have a take profit and then be settled in USDC, sometimes due to imbalance in the pool, it so happens that the pool doesn't have sufficient USDC to kind of allocate for you. And in that case, we don't really want you to be stuck with the position. So it ends up executing a normal close, and you get the underlying back. And yeah, we've been figuring out ways to improve the quality of service on those. But yeah, like those are some scenarios where you might experience this, like you didn't get the asset you desired, and that's where the system is kind of uh, designed to make sure the asset ratios on the pool are also not really spun out of control. And yeah, we should be improving all of those flow as we have a lot more assets added, and that's where like users would need to be a bit more cautious in terms of setting up all of their trade flows and understand the implications of things that may happen to the position after they've just set up a stop loss or take profit, because especially like handling partial stop losses and take profits is something we've pioneered, and yeah, like even associating limit orders to take profits and stop loss, which are executed in your absence, is like a forever game that's need a lot of feedback and improvement. So yeah, if you've got any thoughts or anything that you have faced, please open up a ticket, share your issues, and provide us feedback, and we'll be right at it.
Yep. And a lot of feedback has been taken in and the works have been started. We will go through that after the main another main thing that we have to discuss, because loop scale was one of our very newest integrations, and it was a new basically primitive on Solana that allowed you to borrow by keeping your collateral in their books, and you had fixed borrow rates because of the mechanism that they had, where they used limit order book system for having your borrows matched against the collateral available. So yeah, the hack itself, Zohib, you want to take into that? Yeah.
Yeah, the two things, like number one was the source of the oracle itself. How do you price? And that comes from this idea of a lot of Pendle forks on Solana. People have been trying different stuff. Sandglass is one of the protocols on a similar note, and this was Ratex. And the whole idea is about splitting yield bearing token into two components: the principal token and the yield token. And then like the thing of maturity and pricing your yield, pricing your principal token and yield token appropriately is what defines, how this whole betting on yield thing, this new primitive comes out. And then sadly, RateX had their systems in the right place, but Loopscale ended up not having enough validation for the Oracle systems that they employed. And that's very specific to how Loopscale handles RateX. For all other loops, including FLP, GLP, or other or LST-based looping that they offer, that's pretty straightforward. Everything's on chain. Everything is deterministic, but yield is something that's not deterministic, which is why it's a bit tricky to have uh, an oracle, and more so an on-chain oracle, kind of getting the state, which ended up messing up a validation check, ending in a disaster, uh, which potentially could have been averted by having the right reviewers and the right audit and the right process to kind of have mitigation in line. And it's a lesson learned, and I think Loop Skills uh, is doing their best to get the assets back and kind of make their users full, but they'll wait for the comments from the team to have a lot more on how they wish to progress in terms of continuing the offering.
Yep. That was an interesting lesson learned. I think the hackers actually fumbled by using wormhole wrapped soul to bridge to Ethereum, and yeah, thankfully, I think we will see the return of you all the funds being returned to the users. So it's all good news in terms of the money coming back, but about loop scale, we are yet to find out. But in the direction of integrations for looping, we do expect Camino V2 to add FLP1, and with our recent audit reports being coming out in line with the Camino V2 thing, there would be nothing in our way for FLP pools to be listed on Camino, because everything that we have right now is almost 3 times audited, with most interesting auditing teams in our space, Halbon and Offside Labs. So we are very confident about things and looking to scale liquidity in the direction.
And
Uh,
also, I think
yeah.
this we're soon gonna have another way of utilizing FLP with Sandglass. I
Oh
think
yeah, yeah, yeah.
that come out soon. So yeah, a lot of interesting stuff happening on the FLP side of integrations, and yeah, VP allocations for each are also in place. So yeah, keep an eye out. A lot of stuff on the plate.
For sure, for sure. Yeah, Sandglasses integration of FLP would be out this week probably. We've been working with their team to get FLP on Sandglass. So yeah, good stuff there. I think mm, moving ahead, do you want to add any updates on the Margin Engine V2 side, Zoe?
Margin Engine V2 again. The first steps in that direction would be FLU and having a lot more assets listed. and then funding or having the perfectly balanced OIs and enabling funding payouts is an incremental change, which redefine how Margin Engine on works on Flash, and that's where we've had a lot of discussions with even RWA based Oracle providers. Pit also working out on a few solutions to have lower latency and aftermarket pricing being addressed, and that's one of the biggest things that would need to employ in order to have pool to assets expand to equities, because daily closes and the associated volatility around open and close is something that's really not solved in the best way with the current infra. And yeah, a lot more improvements on Margin Engine V2, alongside a quick discussion we had last week with the Magic Blocks team. And yeah, all of the improvements that are required on the network stack on Magic Blocks end and on our end are in works, and we'll be seeing some good progress on that in the coming weeks.
Nice. Uh, Let me just. Yeah, next thing up is about the Flash Lab stuff that we've been discussing over the past week. So let me just go through the channels that we have. So the first thing that I would say is there are two things being discussed. One is about account linking, and the second thing was transferring your staked FAF from one address to another. So
Yeah.
both of these things is something that we have taken up internally as well, and we have come up with a solution, which is basically having firstly the feature where you can, as you swap SFLP, like you can basically swap your addresses for your staked FAF without accruing any penalty to it. And the second thing is we are also adding an option of delegating your trading activity to a hot wallet. So basically you can have one cold wallet where you have all your FAF staked, and if you want to accrue VP by trading on a specific wallet, you can add that wallet, and then the discounts would accrue on that. Like you will have the discounts available on that wallet, but all the VP that is generated would be given back to the delegated wallet. But the VP for LPing or referring won't be coming up
Accruing
from the
the same address.
accruing from that wallet. Yeah,
Because
and
that opens up this whole idea of gamifying your stake, and then splitting up across addresses and then going with a round robin system to avoid limits. But the idea here, even with allowing people to move the stake FAF, is quite interesting, and we would love to have the community's thoughts on it as we put out the initial ideas. And one of the things that has caught our attention is whether tokenizing stake FAF, like
Mhm.
SFAF, would be a thing, or it's just crazy for people to have an address put in and then sign it and then move, because that's irreversible. So tokens is something people are familiar with. So we've had these ideas. Okay, how do we go about this in terms of UX? Would you allow people to just put in a wallet pub key and say, okay, move my stake from this wallet to this one, and then you just sign it, which is kind of crazy because people don't realize it's gonna be irreversible. But with tokens, there's still this case. Okay, once you send a token to someone, it's just not you. Basically, you're not gonna get it back. So yeah, interesting stuff on the UX component of it. But yeah, like
we'll have it. We'll have the warnings in bright red colors,
uh,
and we can add two-step system on the buttons as well, where you actually select the option that you understand the issue. If you go ahead and move your staked FAF to some random address, it's not recoverable. So we will I'll handle that on the UI side of things. Mm,
that was one in terms of the Flash Labs reviews, and the delegate is simple. And then yeah, if someone else delegates their trading benefits to you, yeah, you should really happy about that. But yeah, not much else. We've covered most of the cases on how that shouldn't be gameable. And then yeah, VP accrual systems still are still hardened towards the person who staked the real staked wallet. So yeah, any benefits associated to LPs, which is boosted yields for SFLP, and also rebates are still kind of retained on the original wallet that stakes. So that's the design, and we'll be having more updates on that
Yeah,
as we
we'll
progress.
share this in the Flash Lab channels for the respective features that was raised by the community. And the next
Yeah.
thing is on the liquidations part, I think this is solved as well, which was raised by Calvin. I think Calvin is on the is he no, he's not on here, but yeah. And then it was also discussed heavily by Rain. So since we have improved the requirement of margin, basically lessened it and have a very wide liquidation price, this also sorts the issue that was about the liquidation. So I would also say that this channel is also basically completed. We have fulfilled this thing as well. So liquidations channel
and, and
is all.
and through the week we will also be having a few more updates on quality of service improvements in terms of limit orders and TPSLs, as we discussed over the last time as well, guaranteeing the price of execution for both limit orders and also stop losses and take profits. That would be a huge quality of service improvement in terms of triggering your delayed orders or having all of the limit orders TPSLs perfect or function perfectly as intended. So yeah, those improvements are also in line. Uh, and what else? Margin Engine V2 is something we've gone over. Ability to add or reduce leverage. That's the interesting thing. We're yet to figure out if there's this component of offering it with the simplified UX that we've got right now. And yeah, it's confusing for most people to kind of select a checkbox and then increase or decrease their leverage without adding or removing additional collateral. And that's like quite a neat feature for someone who's a sophisticated trader. But yeah, baking that in the UX is still quite a bit of a challenge, especially like given mobile also kind of goes hand in hand. So yeah, we'll be looking for ways to kind of have that embedded as part of our current UX itself, and that's when we can have that. And that's already like if you're trading with a bot or if you're trading um, uh, not exactly from the main UI component, you still have this ability. So the program does already support these functionalities, and we just have to find the right way to kind of have this available for users off the bat.
Yep. Apart
That's
from,
pretty much on the
I think,
labs
yeah, there
side.
is next one more thing to discuss, which was about the monthly transparency report. I just want to know if there is anything to add in that. Max or Panda was looking into that.
Right now, I mean, it's pretty much finished up. We also are looking into making a dashboard that would be comprehensive as well, so that it would kind of be more readily available instead of just a report that we go over, on the flash hour, and then that way all of our users can visit that and see in a more transparent way what is the current state of Flash.
Nice. All
And
right.
on similar lines, I think we've got this transparency in terms of VPs, VP allocations, and like even your personal VP. That's another UI improvement that should be rolled out soon, over this week. And then that just shows you the breakdown of VP you've earned yourself. Makes things a lot clearer. What component of your actions have led to the VP accrual system. And that's going to be quite a feat in terms of looking at those on the UI. And then also this VP leaderboard to kind of have those have all of the VP accrual ranks kind of ranked in order. And then also allowing us to kind of have a lot more good gamification on that end. And on that note, announce anything that we've got on the raffle rewards program, or anything that we
Yeah,
want to
that is
kick.
a different thing that I wanted to discuss. It's a different thing. Before that, yeah, on the UI improvements part, we will be having a leaderboard where users can basically see all the VP that is accrued. Pretty neat for people having a rank, and you can just see where you stand amongst all the VP earners and how the folks have earned their VP as well, because there were some talks about VP being accrued more by LPs than traders. So that would actually become more transparent, who are earning more VP, and then you can basically see the stance. And if there is any bias, then we can also look into that. Uh, yeah. So the next part was yeah, the growth team was discussing basically on terms of how we get more new users, and we were just going through the things that we have done in the past. There was Beast of the Week, there was the Trade Wars thing that we did, and in the middle there was raffle rewards. Amongst the three programs that we have done, we have seen that the raffle rewards program actually attracted some more users because they had the direct incentive to get some dollars from the platform if they were trading. So we are looking into that, and just wanted a feedback from the people who are in the audience that the raffle rewards thing was better, or the Beast of the thing was better, or Trade Wars was better. So there were three things that we have done so far to onboard new users. It was Trade Wars. I think Trade Wars kind of didn't work well. Beast of the Week was very isolated, and I know Raffle Reward was more for everyone. So which ones, which one is better? I think I can put up a uh, Flash Labs channel as well for it, but we'll see. Yeah, Raffle is much better. I've actually gotten this feedback from others as well. Mm, nice. Okay, let them type. We'll just wait about that.
Yeah, I think I'd agree or align with the community there. The raffle, even from my perspective, was kind of a better system where more could benefit.
Great. Yeah. Thanks for this. Yeah, we will definitely try to get the raffle rewards thing with much better shiny components on the UI. And yeah, I think we'll try to push that, because you trade everywhere, and it's better to have something to make money while you trade as just rewards. And also, if anyone has any more interesting ideas in terms of raffle, how the raffle rewards are given out, we are always open for interesting ideas as well. But we'll share what we have, and I'll actually put up something in the Flash Labs channel about the way we're gonna do it, and then we can talk about it a little bit more before we will implement it on the production UI. So, yeah, you there is another thing that is, we would be also going about to delist Camino from FLP3 pool, because the Oracle feed for it is not so competent. It is kind of jittered, and it is not up to the mark at what we really want it to be, because most of the liquidity, although we all want to move on the on-chain side of thing, but Camino's liquidity is very thin. So yeah, so if you want to add some more context on that, Camino and Trump, but yeah.
Yeah, that goes on the same idea of us kind of improving the pricing and margin engine. And one of the biggest bottlenecks in terms of pricing right now that we have got is the push or pull based Oracle systems that we've got right now. And this idea of Pyth aggregating price feeds, especially for assets that are on chain, comes with this added latency. So they're going to observe the price on chain across AIMMs and across other markets. And then that's going to be reported to different server, or in this case, Pythnet, and then you've got the aggregation done over there of different codes, and yeah, different coders kind of coming up with their versions of the price. And that's when you have the distributed version of the price kind of being pushed back. So this added latency of reading from the chain and then pushing the data back on chain, um, for long tail assets creates um, this deteriorated feed. And that's, we've got ideas on improving that and kind of having on-chain sources, but it's a super difficult job to kind of nail it, because it's susceptible to a lot of manipulation. Especially, like, you could just use $50,000. So $50,000 is even a whole lot, to kind of move a market like Camino on chain. And that's troublesome, when you have markets that can be manipulated, for price. Offering margin derivative over it is not really ideal. So we've had these flags, and we've detected not so great performance of the oracles, especially for Camino and Trump. And we are planning on delisting these assets, um, this week. So we'll be having the announcements up, and we shall be proceeding to delist these assets, in the interest of protecting LP value. And that's the idea there. We would be having a lot of improvements in terms of the pricing engine, which would enable us to have these assets back later. But at the current situation, I think that, in the interest of LPs not losing value to potential attack vectors, we will be proceeding to delist assets which don't have, or which don't meet the respective criteria for proper price free.
Yep. I think that is pretty much it for the update side of things from our side. Uh, yeah, let's keep up the questioning ask session on, and we are looking at the chats. If there is anything to answer, we will be there. And if anyone wants to come on the speaker side, feel free to request. We can bring you up here, and yeah, you can have a one-on-one chat regarding anything. All right. So every 10 times you open a trade, spend the wave for possible price. Okay, interesting. How about if the trader just opens a $1 trade for 10 times? Because we actually offer the lowest value of position that you can open on a perps exchange. This feature is also not available on Binance itself. You can't open a position with $1 value. Okay, 100K. Interesting. Got it. Yeah, we can discuss about the stuff in the Flash Labs channel as well. Anything else to add?
Yeah, the team had a great. Go ahead, Max.
Yeah.
I was just going to say we did reach out to CMC, by the way, where Anas is aware that through email correspondence, we are trying to actively get that FAF listed on CoinMarketCap. Just FYI, just wanted to address that as well.
Yep. Yeah. On that point, Max, I was kind of confused. How do we, even since the community is here as well. So basically, most of the FAF is actually staked on the FAF on the program itself, and everywhere it kind of shows that that program address is not it's not a program. It's sort of a user-owned address, and it is holding more than 80% of the supply. So we have to make sure it is labeled as program owned, not team owned wallet or any individual owned wallet. So I think you have to get on the Solscan, or I don't know. We might have to.
Yeah,
Uh,
one of the
bring in.
ones I was thinking of is we could reach out to like Bird Eye and things like the analytics platforms. But yeah, maybe SoulScan or Yeah, I'm
I think there is
not
an
sure.
option at SoulScan where you, after you logging in, you can basically submit a report regarding any token and any address.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, this needs to be updated on like Bird Eye and some of the other, exchange or you know, ex- what is it, token aggregators and stuff like that. We just need to have it labeled correctly so that way it's
I just don't know
more straightforward.
which authority, like which uh because see, for token listing, we know if you get on Jup strict list, it's done. Everything gets followed up after that. But for address listing, I just don't know which entity it is where we have to actually go ahead and say, okay, this is. I think it's SoulScan, so it's more about just reaching out to the SoulScan team and filling up the forms.
Yeah, I'll look into it. I mean, it's something that we definitely need to do.
Yep.
Absolutely. And yeah, the team was also present at Crossroads. And yeah, quite a few interesting things coming out from there. And yeah, good stuff in the ecosystem overall. Max's idea of AS, or application specific sequencing, was one of the most coolest highlights that we've seen. And yeah, like, great people doing great work. But yeah, application specific sequencing is a great improvement in terms of how the runtime would process transaction ingress, and proceed to have a better scheduler, which is also in works with Agave, the greedy scheduler updates that we have had. So yeah, these improvements kind of go on the same lines of us getting the performance improvement with something like Magic Blocks, a sidecar implementation, and kind of improving this idea of, increasing bandwidth and reducing latency, which has been the Solana slogan for a long time. So yeah, good stuff overall at Crossroads. Sadly, we couldn't make it in person, but yeah, the team is there, and yeah, great stuff coming out from the conference.
Nice.
And yeah, hopefully we shall be seeing a lot more community this time around at Breakpoint in Abu Dhabi, right down the block. So yeah, excited for it.
Yeah, I'm super excited to shill Anas onto some podcasts and YouTubes as well. I know we're kind of throwing Anas out there, but we are actively engaging different podcast hosts, on YouTube, as well as some spaces. To the core focus there is to obviously onboard more traders, users, LP providers to the Flash platform, and just wanted to let the community know that we are on top of it, and we are definitely actively doing that now. So, and one thing too is, community help is always much appreciated. Obviously, don't spam podcast hosts, but reaching out and just saying that you would love to see Flash on there is a great help. They see that community engagement, they see the strong community behind Flash, and that just gives us more opportunity to uh, get on and get noticed and get our name out there in the ecosystem.
Absolutely.
Anything else to add, Anas?
Nope. We've just gone through the stuff that we really wanted to discuss. Yeah. Okay. We have an interesting question. When's the kickoff of Raftaki? Yeah. It would be basically with the margin engine V2 that we are building right now, and probably we'll have our own UI built till that time as well, where you don't need to go to the MetaDAO's UI to interact with the proposal itself. We'll have our own built UI to interact. Yeah. I think that is pretty much it for now. Just gonna wait for a few minutes if there is any interesting questions to pop up or anyone wants to join us to ask some more interesting questions about future of Flash or anything else. We just hang around. And yeah, we also have a team stand up in 15 minutes. So every day the team has its stand up in the Discord where we basically go through all the stuff that we are building. And yeah. Mm, think yeah, I think that is pretty much it for now. There is nothing to add. Sure. Yeah, let's catch up again next week, Monday, 4 p.m. UTC then.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me on stage.
Bye-bye.
Have a nice one,
Mhm.
guys.